Now at 9, we're tracking storms bringing flooding conditions to the 4 states.
The change in police staffing raises concerns in Girard, Kansas, and youngsters get a lesson from canine friends at the Joplin Police Department Kids Academy.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The line of storms moving through the area tonight has prompted a flood warning all along the Neosho River throughout southeast Kansas before now moving into southwest Missouri. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us with a first look at the weather.
Well, you can see down in 7th and Rangeline, starting to see, a lot of lightning out there, a lot of rainfall. These storms are dropping about 1.5 inches an hour as it's continuing to move, and it is a slow moving storm. So we're going to see ongoing flooding, but we've already had our flood watch across the area until noon tomorrow. Now, Dow mentioned the Neosho River under a flood warning. Also, Allen County, Woodson County, and a few other counties that are pushed out towards Wichita under flood warnings until midnight tonight and even extending into tomorrow due to ongoing flooding, a lot of roads that are completely underwater and a lot of cars that have been underwater as well. So most of the storm has been dropping just a ton of rainfall. You can see it's slow moving as it's continuing to push through the area. Now south, we saw a lot more of a tornado threat, some bowing segments and storms that developed ahead of the front. But in our area, these were just training storms as it pushed through. Now our cold front, you can see where that line is, now pushed past the Joplin area, past Miami, heading into the Monette area, Cassville, and into Neosho, Pineville area as well, also Mount Vernon. Now, a little bit of lightning along this front, and it's a bit messy, not so organized, so we're not seeing as high of a wind threat, but those storms are going to continue to push through and just, again, train as they move through, dropping a ton of rain accumulation. Now, Pittsburgh area already seen 2 inches up in Yates Center, up to 4 inches of rain. These are going to start to push out of the area in the next hour to 1.5 hours, but I'm going to have a full look at the forecast coming up.
See you soon. Before the storms moved through this immediate area, they brought some heavy rains to the west of us. Flash flooding in the Wichita area stranded some drivers in roads. Emergency responders had to perform a number of water rescues, some requiring boats. Some people voluntarily evacuated their homes in the face of that rapidly rising water. He's still in the hospital, but authorities today formally charged the man who was shot in an exchange of gunfire with Miami, Oklahoma police on Saturday. Charges against 25-year-old Michael Cook III are discharging a firearm into a dwelling, 2 counts of shooting with intent to kill, and feloniously pointing a firearm. Police say Cook fired into the Mia Bella Italian restaurant from outside, trying to force his way in. They say when they confronted him, he opened fire and ran. Gunfire broke out again in the area of a nearby Arby's. Cook was shot, taken into custody, and flown to a Tulsa hospital in critical condition, and that's where he remains tonight. Some residents in Girard have concerns about the current state of the town's police department. The department has seen several officers step down in recent months. In May, former police chief Sierra Roberts resigned. She's since taken a position at the Crawford County Sheriff's Office. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on how it's drawn questions about what staffing the city currently has.
I get out in the evenings and drive around a lot, and it's been 2 months since I saw any Girard police. At least.
The staffing of the Girard Police Department, or the lack thereof, is something one business owner became very aware of when her restaurant was broken into in May. She was left surprised by who ended up coming to help.
It was the sheriff, not the local, anybody local. Well, not our local police department anyway. I knew we were short on police officers. I guess at the time, we didn't have anybody working for the Girard department.
Girard residents say they've noticed the sheriff's department having to respond to more calls in the area in the past couple of months. Residents say they've also noticed an uptick in local crime.
We've been here in business, it'll be 38 years in November. We've never ever had any break-ins, never had any trouble at all. But since there's no police, it seems like it's just really gone downhill for the town.
I spoke with the mayor of Girard, who says the city appointed a chief of police about halfway through May. That chief of police is Jesse Snyder. He also says currently on staff is one patrolman, and they have another one who is onboarding and needs to get sent off to academy. He says ideally they would have 5 patrolmen alongside the chief of police as their full staff. In a statement to KOAM, the Girard City Administrator adds the city leaders plan to hire another patrolman, as well as an assistant chief within city council meetings this month.
Hope they get everything solved and get the crime rate under control again. That makes me kind of nervous now to come out here by myself. I mean, I never even thought much about it, but now when I come in, I'm like, okay.
Girard residents that we spoke with say they believe officer pay is one reason the department is struggling to stay staffed. The mayor of Girard says earlier this year, City Council adopted new pay scales and retention pay for the police department to try and encourage officers to stay. Girard City leaders say during this transitional period, the Crawford County Sheriff's Department has been helping with their law enforcement needs. This includes an agreement for overnight coverage. But for residents, it's not a permanent fix.
The county, they're always real busy. They have a lot of calls too. And they just might not have time to deal with these silly little things that happen around here. We need a police.
Reporting in Girard, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
As KOAM spoke with Girard residents, another concern brought up was about city staffing struggles of other first responders, including at the fire department. Residents say they hope more competitive pay will encourage employees to stay in Girard. Joplin School District incoming 6th graders got to visit some furry friends from the police department today. It's part of the JPD Kids Academy. Students got the chance to learn about the crucial role canines play in the field, as well as other things involving law enforcement. As KOIM's Lonnie Walton reports, the goal is to get students thinking about what they want to be when they grow up.
We went where people train to be policemen, and we practiced handcuffing.
Vicky Ramirez Salas is a 6th grader from the Joplin Public School District. She, along with her classmates, got some education about canines from the public training facility. Just like her peer Kaden Warren, we asked her if she had plans to be in law enforcement.
No, I'd like to be an NBA player.
Katie Boer is the director of summer programming for the Joplin School Districts. She says she hears answers like this all the time.
Most of them already think that they're going to have this amazing career in TV or the NBA, but we love hearing them say, maybe I could serve the community in this way.
This is why police officer Jason Bojak says it's not all just about canines. These students are getting a wealth of knowledge.
We're going to be going over different police activities, including canine demonstrations, SWAT demonstrations. We're going to run the obstacle course. We're going to work on fingerprinting.
Bojak wants to let students know that skills learned in school can be good for any career.
If you're not able to complete a sentence or spell words correctly, when you send that stuff on to the prosecutor and the judges, that stuff can get dismissed if you're not doing your stuff properly.
All these things are fun, according to Vicky and Kaiden, but for now, they have one thing in mind.
The Los Angeles Lakers. I want to be a jewelry maker.
Reporting in Joplin, Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Boer says the district plans to allow students to engage in more exploration activities in the future. Her goal is to get kids thinking about the resources available to them in their community. Help for the Boy Scouts came in the form of a tasty fundraiser today in Joplin. The First Presbyterian Church on Pearl Street cooked up the fundraiser to benefit Boy Scout Troop 10. For $10, visitors could grab a burger, a hot dog, baked beans, and some chips.
At the church every other Monday meeting during the summer, and then every Monday night throughout the rest of the school year. And they wanted to put on a fundraiser for us, so we came here to volunteer and serve food and cook burgers and hot dogs.
The money will go to help pay for the cost of camping gear for the Scouts. Coming up, how Branson police are taking action to stop card skimmers before they strike. According to the website security.org, 62 million Americans became victims of credit card fraud last year, costing billions of dollars. Adam Woodbury shows us one way the Branson Police Department is cracking down on one common place where cyber crooks have been known to target because of heavy tourist traffic.
Getting gas is such a regular routine for so many of us. And when you scan your card, you do so confident and you hope that nothing bad is going to happen. And the Branson Police Department hopes their new program will keep it that way.
So if we can locate a device, then that just means that all of those credit card that were skinned through there, at least it won't fall into the bad guys' hands.
The Branson Police Department taking a proactive approach, cutting back on would-be credit card thieves in a unique way. The department started a new program 5 months ago, checking for skimmers at random gas pumps in the city. Basically, they insert a device into the card reader to make sure no crook has put in one of their own.
What it'll do is it basically looks to see if there is a skimming device, which basically reads the individual's credit card information and then will retain that.
Lieutenant E.J. Jones said the idea came about when Branson's police chief was away at a conference and learned more about the devices.
He saw the potential in it on protecting our citizens and our visitors to the city against credit card skimming, and so it was a resource that we were able to obtain, and we are putting it into practical use.
So far, the department hasn't come across any fraudulent skimmers. It's more of preventing them from being used. But nationwide, skimmers are a big problem. In fact, according to the FBI, each year more than $1 billion is lost due to card skimming. To protect yourself, the FBI recommends choosing a pump that's closer to the store. Run your debit card as a credit card. Consider paying inside rather than at the pump. And if you can, tap your card instead of inserting it.
Plus, one of the messages that I would love to make clear to all the viewers is be diligent. Check your credit card statements, check your debit card statements, your bank statements.
And if you do see something suspicious,
if there is something that doesn't look right, contact your bank.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later why prostate cancer screening isn't one size fits all and how smart screening could help save lives.
Well, it's been a pretty active afternoon with a huge flood risk for the area continuing into the night with storms ongoing, dropping quite a bit of rainfall. So we are still under a flood watch until Wednesday at 12, though likely this will get reinstated after Wednesday once we start to see more storms fire back up on Thursday and into the weekend. Now, we do have a flood warning in effect along the Neosho River, Allen County, Woodson County, and then you can see out in the far western counties out towards the Wichita area. Still under flood warnings through tonight and into tomorrow morning as well due to the heavy amounts of rainfall that we've already seen so far. Now, the Pittsburgh area only got about 1.5 inches so far. There's still quite a bit of rainfall out there. Nevada got about 2.5 inches of rain out near Yates Center. Got about 3.5 inches of rain, but down along the Kansas and Oklahoma border, we saw about 4 inches of rain near Coffeyville. Out in Oswego, we got about 4.5 inches of rain. Now, these storms are still continuing to drop quite a bit of rainfall, about 1.5 inches an hour. And they're slow-moving storms continuing to move as they push up towards the north and then moving out towards the east. So you can still see we've got quite a bit of rainfall out towards the Pittsburgh area and just along the Kansas and Missouri border and then up to Veneta and Miami. Heavy rainfall. Now, storms are looking like they're firing right back up near Veneta. Quite a bit of lightning that's going to continue to trek into Miami and Grove. Now, that's along our cold fronts. We are seeing a few showers just ahead of that down in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Now, as we get into the Missouri side, Joplin still seeing some lightning, some heavy rainfall. Seneca the same. Neosho is about to see all of those storms pushing through. Carthage might get a little bit more of this lightning as well and some heavy downpours. Now up on deck, Mount Vernon, Monette out there. You can see down to Cassville and Pineville area. Up to Lamar, still seeing a lot of lightning. Lamar, Greenfield up to Stockton, but still getting heavy rainfall across the area. Now our cold front has been draped down through Missouri, pretty much right along I-44. We're going to get a lot more heavy rainfall behind that front. Still seeing that flash flooding and flooding threat, even though we don't have any more severe threat for that area. Ahead of the front, getting, again, heavy rainfall, still leading to flash flooding, but mainly also seeing those gusty wind threat, 50 to 55 miles per hour. Now taking a look, 7th and Range Line, quite a lot of rainfall out there, still ongoing. Same out in Kansas, or Pittsburgh area as well. Now, taking a look outside downtown Joplin, we do have, again, heavy rainfall. This is from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. So Joplin's getting hit right now with all the storms that are going to continue to push through. Starting to creep past the Joplin area. They stall a little bit here for the next hour or so. You can see kind of just linger over right along the Missouri side just east of Pittsburgh, but they're going to continue to push out towards the Springfield area as we get to about 11:30 to midnight. Now again, those are going to continue to trek. We do have thunderstorms popping up behind the front. These are cold pool storms, so they're elevated. Just looking at maybe an additional chance for all of the flooding that we're going to see. Now tomorrow we don't have any threat for severe weather, but our next threat for severe weather is going to be Thursday night and into Friday morning. So we're going to keep an eye on those storms as well, especially with all the flooding we've already seen, saturated conditions. Any more heavy rainfall is just going to lead to even more flash flooding and flooding concerns. I mean, we've taken a look at Wichita. A lot of those roads are just completely submerged, cars underwater. You mentioned earlier a lot of water rescues out there as well, so we want to keep an eye on the flooding.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the cumulative amounts, it was the rapidity with which it came down. I mean, it was a lot in a hurry.
Yes,
for sure.
It was.
Thanks, Lindsay. Coming up, new charges in the Boulder case.
Well, the man accused of carrying out that horrific attack in Boulder, Colorado, now faces federal hate crime charges. I'm Doug Luzader in Washington. We'll have more on what he is telling investigators coming up.
Hero Fund USA and KO.
The most common cancers in the U.S. among men, about 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. According to the American Cancer Society, that is, the disease is also a leading cause of cancer death among men, but early detection can save lives. Mandy Gaither has more on who should be screened for prostate cancer and when to start that screening.
If found early, prostate cancer is highly treatable before it spreads, but the American Cancer Society estimates there will be more than 35,700 deaths from the disease in the U.S. this year alone. Screening can save lives, but knowing who should screen and when can be confusing.
PSA screening is so complicated because different organizations have come out with their own thoughts on what that screening interval should be and shouldn't be.
Dr. Mitchell Humphreys with Mayo Clinic says most organizations agree that men at average risk should get their screening between the ages of 55 and 69. It's a blood test known as prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, but he says the decision to start screening should be made between the patient and their doctor based on risk. Those more likely to develop prostate cancer include anyone with a family history of the disease, or those who may have inherited the BRCA genes typically linked to breast cancer. Black men are also at higher risk. Humphrey says anyone with these risk factors should start screening earlier than those at average risk. How often a patient should be screened also varies, so he recommends what he calls smart screening, meaning those who have a history of higher PSA levels should be monitored and screened more often than someone whose levels are low.
You can tailor it to the individual health and the risk of the patient, determine how often you should be having that blood test checked for your health and longevity.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American Cancer Society says that because prostate cancer often grows slowly, men without symptoms of the disease who have less than a 10-year life expectancy should not be offered prostate cancer screening because they aren't likely to benefit from it. It could lead to additional unnecessary procedures. Up next, a deadly blast rocks a Kansas City suburb. The explosion caught on camera and the investigation now underway. City of Joplin is going to bring back a popular recycling event this week. The Joplin Recycling Center's free tire drop-off event rolls back out this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The center moved the event to the North Lone Elm site due to a need for more space. Last year's event drew 110 vehicles and collected more than 12 tons of tires. You can find more information on this event on our website, KOIMnewsnow.com. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, a flamethrower attack in Boulder leaves dozens injured, and now authorities say the suspect planned the assault for a year. And Iran's nuclear stockpile is growing, and a new U.S. proposal could open the door to more enrichment.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOIM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. We're learning more now about the man accused of setting fire to a peaceful group of protesters in Boulder, Colorado. Mohammed Sabri Solomon is now facing federal hate crime charges. And as Doug Luzader reports from Washington, he told investigators he has no regrets.
We have this disturbing picture emerging of a man who said he would carry out that attack all over again, according to police, but at the same time, he said he became too scared to kill even more people. Flowers now mark the scene of the attack in Boulder, a stark contrast to the horror on Sunday.
I feel like it's important to make it beautiful with flowers and show that life will continue even though violence has happened here.
Police have now released the booking photo of 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon, who they say dressed as a gardener on Sunday, wearing a backpack sprayer as a makeshift flamethrower and lobbing Molotov cocktails while yelling "Free Palestine."
When he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
At the same time, police also say that he told them he intended to go even further, but became too scared to continue the attack on the group of people who were calling for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza. They say he had been planning the assault for a year, but waited for his daughter to graduate from high school and was unable to buy a gun because he was in the country illegally. On Truth Social, President Trump wrote, "Yesterday's horrific attack in Boulder, Colorado will not be tolerated in the United States of America." And the White House railed on the previous administration.
Joe Biden's administration foolishly gave him a tourist visa and that allowed him to unlawfully remain in our country. This individual should have been deported. Instead, he was welcomed here.
Now, all told, 12 people were injured in the attack. 2 remain hospitalized. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
The investigation continues into the cause of a deadly home explosion caught on Ring camera. The explosion killed one person and a dog in a Kansas City suburb over the weekend. The area was later secured after adjacent homes were evacuated. Ring camera footage from Ashley Tomlin shows debris flying through the air after the single-family home exploded. Family members confirmed 86-year-old Richard Adams Sr. died in that explosion. The Missouri State Fire Marshal's office is leading the investigation. For the past few weeks, the Trump administration has been trying to negotiate a new nuclear agreement with Iran, one that would prevent the country from developing a nuclear weapon. But the talks have so far made little progress. And as Fox's Rebecca Castor reports from Washington, U.S. officials might be forced to compromise.
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
That's been the position of the Trump administration on Iran. But according to the UN's nuclear watchdog, Iran is close to having enough enriched uranium for a nuclear weapon, increasing its stockpile by 50% over the last 3 months.
The way you enrich uranium is called a centrifuge. And think of a salad spinner. You spin the salad spinner a little ways and you get low enriched uranium. That's what you use for civilian reactors. You keep spinning that salad spinner and you got highly enriched uranium, and that's what's used in a bomb.
The development adds new pressure to U.S. negotiators trying to reach a nuclear deal with Iran. Publicly, U.S. officials and President Trump say any deal would require Iran to stop enriching uranium entirely.
This is a country that has orchestrated attempts on President Trump's life. They cannot have a nuclear weapon, and we should treat any agreement with Iran with a great deal of skepticism.
But according to a report from Axios, a new U.S. proposal would allow Tehran to continue enriching uranium at low levels.
The administration must clarify what they might be hiding from the American people in this secret side deal.
Iran has said it won't sign any deal that does not allow them to continue uranium enrichment, which they insist is for peaceful purposes only. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast. Plus, scammers are getting smarter. See how they're targeting your inbox and phone and what you can do to protect yourself.
Well, we've been tracking a line of storms moving across the area this afternoon and into this evening, mainly causing a lot of flooding. Now we are under a flood watch, which is the darker green, until noon on Wednesday. We are seeing a couple of flood warnings along the Neosho River all the way through southeastern Kansas, Allen County, Woodson County, and a couple other counties out towards Emporia and Wichita. Those are due to roads being closed, heavy rainfall. These storms that we saw earlier just sat right on top all the way through. You can see where the line of the rainfall was. I mean, just sat there for several hours before it started to continue to push out towards the east. Now we saw about 3.5 inches of rainfall out near Yates Center. Pittsburgh got up to 1.5 inches so far, but there's still storms on top of Pittsburgh. Out in Oswego, about 4.5 inches of rain. Coffeyville, about 4 inches of rain. Now again, we are still seeing this line of storms continuing to push through out towards the Springfield area, but just heavy rainfall behind that front. Now zooming in a little bit, we've got a little cell that wants to spike as it heads into the Miami Grove area. That'll continue to push into Neosho. That's already seen heavy rainfall and some lightning. They're going to get another round in about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But you can see Joplin area finally starting to see all of the lightning taper off, the heavy rainfall taper off. Still getting widespread showers though behind the main line. Carthage in the middle of the heaviest part of this storm, the heavy rainfall, all the lightning as well, maybe even some strong wind gusts up to 50, 55 miles per hour. Neosho just on the tail end of that as well. These are all going to continue to push out towards the Monette, Mount Vernon area. And then you can see even in some of our northern counties, although main line is out towards the Springfield area, still getting some heavy rainfall. Greenfield, Arcola, Lamar, Sheldon, and even Jasper as well with some lightning. Now, our cold front drapes down, moving into the Springfield area. That's where we're seeing those gusty winds and yes, heavy rainfall, but especially those gusty winds. You can see how it bows out a little bit. And then behind the front, mainly elevated rain showers and thunderstorms, meaning we're going to get a lot of heavy rainfall, especially with these storms just training over and over. Now, taking a look, 7th and range line, it's starting to, like we just saw on radar, starting to lighten up a little bit out there, not seeing as much lightning and as heavy as rainfall, but we just got through with just about 30 minutes to 45 minutes of just heavy rainfall. The same out in the Pittsburgh area. Not a lot of flooding going on just yet, but we are probably seeing some flash flooding. Haven't gotten many reports. Now taking a look outside downtown Joplin, still getting some lightning as you just saw. This is from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Now the line of storms is going to continue to drive out. You can see where we saw that little bowing segment. It pushes out, but we have storms just lingering out towards the Joplin area, just north of Joplin. That's going to continue to drive out towards the east, but we have these elevated storms that are going to stick around through the overnight hours and into Wednesday morning. Now with these storms, they're elevated, they're in the cold pool, so behind that cold front, meaning not going to expect any severe weather with that. In fact, we don't see any severe weather until Thursday. We're going to see a line of storms moving in again, southern parts of our area Thursday and into Friday morning. So we are back under that level 2 out of 5 risk for storms Thursday and into Friday. We finally get a break on Saturday, but more storms roll in Sunday, scattered showers, but thunderstorms Sunday night into Monday. After that, we're finally going to get to see summertime. This is the most likely the last week of severe weather. We usually see it fall off right around the 1st to 2nd week of June. So we're getting there. We're almost there.
Right on schedule, and it's going to be swimming pool weather pretty soon.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Thanks. It's unclear whether the federal government is prepared for future storms. Hurricane season is underway in the southeast, but some Florida lawmakers say uncertainty about the Federal Emergency Management Agency could impact relief efforts. The agency says it'll be able to handle its duties despite hundreds of planned cuts. Florida Congresswoman Kathy Castor says cuts by the Department of Government Efficiency have already restricted resources for predicting storms. Still ahead, several of our local high school baseball players receive all-state honors. Plus, the top prospect in the Kansas City Royals organization makes his MLB debut. John Dales has those stories and more up next in sports.
Join us. The Royals and Cardinals meet for the 4th time in the 2025 regular season this evening. KOAM sports reporter Ben McLeish is in St. Louis for the matchup, which has a little added interest with Kansas City's recent roster move.
Just 349 days ago, Jack Caglione was sporting this uniform in the College World Series. Now, after a year of mashing in the minors, he's gotten a call to join his boys in blue on the biggest stage. The Royals' top prospect batted .322 with 15 home runs this year in the minors. Royals fans hope he can be a spark for the offense, which ranks dead last in home runs.
The thing that we've struggled on the most is just generating offense, so if we can get that moving, I think we're going to do really good. But I think his really hard-hitting capabilities, I think that's where he's going to shine the most, if he can transfer it.
Fans think it might have been the perfect time to call up the young slugger.
Exactly what we need right now. I think it was a great time to call him up. Royals definitely needed that extra power, hopefully get a few out of the park.
Less than a month ago, Caglione was still in Double-A, with hopes of making his major league debut this season. 28 days later, his wish came true.
I mean, obviously, want to debut this year. That'd be probably number one. But I just kind of like to be where my feet are, take it day by day. Look too far into the future, start worrying about it too much, so I just try not to.
Caglione might be just what the Royals need to break out of their slump and get back on track for a playoff push.
He plays the infield, he's got outfield. I think he can fit in right now on this team.
Ben McLeish, KOAM News.
As we come on the air, that game is in the 9th inning. Caglione is 0 for 4, but his teammates have picked up the slack. The Royals lead the Cardinals 10-7. Bobby Witt Jr. having a big day at the plate. He's got a home run, 4 RBI, and 2 runs scored. In summer collegiate baseball, the Joplin Outlaws are back in action tonight. They're on the road down in Sherman, and it's a matchup of the top 2 teams in the Mid-America League. Outlaws are 7-1, Sherman is 8-1. As we come on the air, last check of that score has the Shadow Cats leading 6-5 in the top of the 5th inning. These two play each other again tomorrow and Thursday. The Kansas high school baseball season ended with a couple of our local teams, Fort Scott and Colgan, winning state championships. And this week, players from those and several more of our local teams receive individual all-state honors. In Class 2-1A, Spencer Wade, a senior outfielder from Northeast Darma, is on the first team all-state. His teammate Jaden Wetzel is on the second team as a middle infielder, along with a couple Colgan Panthers. Senior pitcher Brady Van Beesler, sophomore outfielder Lane Stoltz. Class 3A, Girard sophomore Cam Smith, Humboldt senior Logan Page, and Iola senior Grady Doherty are all first-team pitchers. Columbus sophomore Ben Major is on the second team, along with Iola junior Trey Wilson as a designated hitter. Receiving honorable mention is another Iola Mustang, that's outfielder Jace Herman. And in Class 4A, the state champions are well represented. Fort Scott seniors Dub Chipman and Lennox Van are on the first team All-State. Chanute Jr. Chris Harding is on the second team as a utility player. Mikey Ramsey from Parsons receives honorable mention, as do a couple more Fort Scott Tigers, Brady Messer and Kanan Brown. And their head coach, Josh Regan, is the 4A Coach of the Year. That's it for sports. We're back right after this.
If you feel like you're constantly receiving scam calls, texts, or emails, well, you're not alone. According to a new survey, an overwhelming majority are targeted by scammers every week. Ivan Rodriguez has some of the common tactics tricksters use and how you can protect yourself.
If you're checking your email every day, chances are you'll see a subject line that might make you raise a brow.
Right away, I'm thinking to myself, is this something that I've been expecting?
According to a CNET survey, 96% of U.S. adults receive at least one scam email, text, or phone call each week. 90% say they get scam emails on a weekly basis. CNET Stacia Milden says the scam calls and texts are surging too.
My phone rings constantly, and that's at 83%, still very high, followed by text messages, of course, at 82%.
In 2024 alone, U.S. adults reported losing a collective whopping $470 million in those sneaky text scams, according to the Federal Trade Commission. Milden says fraudsters have gotten so good at crafting their messages and creating a sense of urgency that people need to stay vigilant, especially on phone calls.
If you don't know who that person is after you have said hello, don't say anything further, hang up. And the reason why I say that is so important is because artificial intelligence has evolved to where scammers are actually able to clone your voice and your responses to unfortunately use those for scams later.
Aside from following basic internet safety guidelines, such as not clicking unknown links and not answering unknown calls, Milden says there are other ways to keep criminals from impacting your finances.
Right now is a really good time to freeze your credit. So that way, if they happen to get access to your information, hey, your credit's already frozen.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Up next, the Grabber's back. The Crawleys take their final bow and a rom-com returns. See what's trending in this week's Hollywood Nation. A masked killer's final chilling return, a royal family's final bow, and more. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has all of the latest in today's Hollywood Nation.
Hello, Finney.
The Grabber returns, the Crawleys say farewell, and a hit rom-com sets a comeback date in the Hollywood Nation.
Will the Matzo Ballers make the playoffs?
Kristen Bell and Adam Brody's on-screen love story continues this fall. Netflix announced season 2 of Nobody Wants This premieres October 23rd. The duo reprise their roles as Joanne and Rabbi Noah, whose mismatched romance hit a pause when Joanne revealed her uncertainty of converting to Judaism in season 1. The Crawleys prepare for their last big screen adventure in today's first looks. The trailer for the third film, Downton Abbey, the grand finale, follows the family and their staff navigating a new era in the 1930s. The upcoming movie concludes the beloved franchise, which started as a series in 2010. It arrives in theaters September 12th. Ethan Hawke is back behind the mask in the trailer for Black Phone 2. He reprises his role as the Grabber with Mason Thames returning as a teenage Finney Blake. Set 4 years after the original, the sequel finds Finney being stalked once again by the child-snatching killer he thought he killed years ago. The film rings into theaters October 17th.
Vengeance.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a panda playing at the Hong Kong Zoo. Let's make it a great tomorrow.